leading up to this, man, it was hard not to think about this game, man, since, you know, we knew we was playing here first and foremost. To be able to get this opportunity to play at a stadium like this, man, where, you know, me and Mike Vick called home for plenty of years, man, and, you know, just the things we accomplished on this field, man, it was surreal. So we had 7 games before this, or I think, yes, we had 7 games before this, and every game it was hard to not think about this game. So I'm glad we're here, we're over with it, and we can move on. But I mean, it just shows today, man, just the energy. When I walked on the field, man, smelling that grass, man, it just went through my veins. I just felt like I was about to play a game because that grass smelled very familiar.
What has this whole week been like leading up to tonight's game?
Man, it's been mind-boggling, man, honestly. You know, I'm big on preparation, and I know this was a short week, you know, having college guys prepare after we just played a tough battle game on Saturday down in Durham and a long bus ride, and then we come back and, you know, we only have 2 days of preparation, and you know, just throughout the week, I just didn't feel like we had the best week of practice. You know, and just expectations for this team is very high, and our standard we have is high as well too. And every day we go out on the field, we always, you know, try to maintain that standard. But I just didn't feel we had the best week of practice, and it kind of shows today. But it was just, you know, it was great to still come out with a win.
What was that moment like with Michael? What was that moment like with Michael after the game and getting carried off the field, I guess? Right?
Man, that moment, you know, at the middle of the field with Michael, man, you know, I truly look up to him. He's always been you know, a big bro to me. Got a great relationship. You know, I admired him growing up. Just, you know, all his accolades and what he was able to do. And then when he came here, man, it was just like a dream come true to be able to play with a quarterback like him. You know, it's just, his record doesn't show to the amount that he does, man. You know, they played a hard-fought game today. They gave us a tough battle. And I'm just proud of them, man, both of us, man. We're in a position where we're inspiring and changing, you know, young men's lives at HBCU, man. It don't get no better than that. So, you know, with the wins and losses, you know, we all want to win. We put so much work into winning, but, you know, just that moment when you see your brother, man, you see how great he's doing, man. And I just, you know, I can't say I feel bad for him, but I just hope that it translates to wins for him because he deserved it.
What was your primary
second
message
half,
to the team
DeSean?
leading up to this week? And how did you like the response?
My primary message was honestly, man, you know, keep the main thing the main thing. I feel like we allowed the lights and the big stage to kind of get us out of our game and take our focus off a little bit. The first half, we wasn't ourselves. Obviously, the second half, we came out. You know, we were stopped on that first drive. When, you know, I always preach when we get the ball coming out of the second half, we got to score. We didn't score. So, you know, just really just keeping the main thing, and just not allowing this big atmosphere to be too big for us.
Peyton Bennett was out for a little bit in the first and second half. When he came back in the fourth quarter or in the second half, the offense moved again. You know, got the big touchdown pass. Seemed like the offense got moving in the second half.
I mean, it was unfortunate, man. KB's been dealing with a few injuries, you know, multiple injuries. And, you know, he's a tough kid, man, hard-fought, battle kid. You know, he gives us a chance to win every time he's out on the field. So he came in the locker room, you know, he was dealing with some things, and it was bothering him pretty bad. So it was good to get him to, you know, push through it. You know, I asked him, I was like, KB, are you good? And he was like, nah, coach, I'm not good. But, you know, I felt this last week as well, too. So it just shows the character, you know, how hard he wants to win, man. And, you know, that dude is different, man. It was great to get him back to come out, you know, put some plays up there and make some big ones.
Why did you choose the HBCU to start your coaching career?
That was the opportunity to present myself, honestly. You know, for me, growing up, you know, my parents or my dad went to HBCU, went to the Bethune-Cookman, and you know, just when I was playing, I never, you know, during that time, I guess I was too big of a player to, you know, get looks from HBCUs or for me to look at HBCUs. So this opportunity came, and you know, for me, I just said I can't really pass this opportunity up for me to want to inspire and change young kids' lives. You know, I had to take this opportunity.
DeSean, you're now the winningest Delaware State team in 13 years. What does that mean to you, and how does that bode well for the next big games you have the next few weeks?
Man, it's an honor, but you know, we still haven't done anything yet, man. Our goal is, you know, it still remains the same. We'll continue to put the work in. You know, it just really contests and matters to, you know, the work these guys are, you know, putting in every day on a daily basis. You know, I challenge these guys every time. You know, it's different, and I say this culture is different because, you know, they're embracing it, right? They're accepting the standards, and you know, they're pushing to the limit, right? And they're challenging themselves, and they're coming together. They're trusting the process, and they're believing it. So it's an honor, but you know, we still haven't did anything. You know, we got 3 more conference games, and you know, our goal is to go undefeated, and hopefully we can make it to, you know, our destination. You know,
With you guys being former teammates, what's something that you saw about Coach Vick as a person that you still saw on that sideline today?
Always calm, collected, man. And the moment's never too big for him. Like I said, you know, the wins and losses, you know, 1-7 before tonight, 1-8 now. It doesn't amount to the good he does for that university, you know, and just inspiring these young men's lives. So, you know, like I said, man, I hope it translates over for him for victories. Obviously not tonight. I didn't want him to get a win, but you know, man, he'll keep doing a great job. He's a great mentor. You know, he inspires young men.
Coach, how do you feel like today's game changed the way that people view other cultures and other communities view HBCU football?
I mean, you seen it, man. Philadelphia showed up. I mean, wherever people were from, whether it was Virginia, Delaware, Philadelphia, New York, Baltimore, like, I mean, wherever people came from today, man, you seen it. You know, they showed up and showed out. And it was a great turnout, and that's what the coach was for. It was meant for. We came here, you know, I had the opportunity to reach out to Jeffrey, Lloyd, Frank, you know, Tony Allen, Tony Tucker, Temessus Carmen. You know, we had so many variables that was included into this game, and it wouldn't have been able to be possible if everybody didn't play their part. Yeah, I initiated it, but it still had to go through so many hoops for us to make this happen today. So it just shows, man, you know, hopefully more players, retired players that can get in the position and give the opportunity to coach, because I feel like we got a great insight on the game that we played, and we know what it's like to go out there and go to battle.
Hey, DeSean, you while this game, you had some good moments here as a player. Could you have ever imagined that one day you'd be facing Mike Vick and you look at across?
I could have never, I would have never envisioned this. I could have never imagined it. I could have never predicted it. It just shows you how well God works, man. You know, God is a great person that puts things to aspect. You know, life. You know, all our lives, and you know, I say this all the time to our players, man. It's written. You know, regardless who we got, the story's written. We just got to go out there and do our work, man. That's God's work.
To build on that, you know, you were a polar rapid figure in Philly. You know, how important was this game that it was highlighted around your team versus you? You know, going into this game, it feels like you and Vic were the highlight. However, how important was it that this team was highlighted for the victory?
I've said it all week, man. It's bigger than me and Michael Vick. Obviously, we're the icons, and it's the HBC legendary game, but it's bigger than us, man. We're just in a position where we're called to do what we're calling right now. We're doing our calling. So, like I said, I just really hope it changed the dynamic of, you know, players that played at a high level. It's not an ordinary player, original. You know, like, you got to be elite in a certain way. And, I mean, it just shows transition, right, from a player. Because every person that plays at a high level can't necessarily coach at a high level. So, I mean, I just really hope people would take a second look at, you know, people that play or athletes that play and just say, you know what, man, we probably should give them a chance, because what's different from somebody that's never coached and you give him an opportunity from somebody that's played and don't get the opportunity. So that's kind of where I want to see it at, man. I think a lot of more guys, when they retire, they need to, you know, get into coaching, because, you know, man, just to be able to have your own, you know, university organization and be ran, like everything, when you look at it from a perspective of I got my finger on it. And I just think it's a cool thing, man, to be able to be in that position. I tell my players all the time, and I wish you guys would get an opportunity to see what it feels like to be a head coach. It's a lot of stress, though. I got a few gray hairs, but it's fun, too, though.
What was it like to make that transition, though? I mean, in sports, like, for example, Ted Williams was a great player, wasn't a great manager. And what's the difficulty, what's the adjustment you have to make as a player to be a coach?
That's a great question. You know, I think for me, man, is, you know, I've been coached by some greats. You know, if you look at, you know, Andy Reid all the time, he was like a second father figure to me. Sean McVay, you know, Coach Prime as well too. That, you know, they just inspired me, man. They mentor me. And not only that, man. It's like when I played all these years, the coaches I respected the most is the coaches that I could relate to, that they understood me. You know, I came from LA. You know, I came from rough areas. You know, and I had a lot of distractions in my career, off the field, temptations, entourages. You know what I'm saying? But in order for a coach, or in order for a player to respect the coach, that coach got to understand that young man. And I just feel like all I did was put bits and pieces together, you know, from all the coaches that I respected, that I played for, and now this is what you get from Coach Jack.
Do you want to make this a yearly event?
HBCU football, right? Mm-hmm. And I love how you highlight when you talk about the opportunities and that the stage is bigger and what it really should be when it comes to media exposure. Right. And you talk about the culture from when you stepped on, going from, Oregon and then at HBCU, just the culture? Because I think there's a misnarrative about the culture of an HBCU. Can you share your perspective of what that means to you?
The culture was huge, man. I think since day one, man, it's been a culture shock. And that was my challenge to these young men. Just looking back 2 years in a row, they was 1-11. They was in some tough games last year. And 6 games, they was up in the fourth quarter, and they ended up losing those games. So when you look at that type of, play, you break it down as a player that played at a high level. It's like it's either your conditioning, you undisciplined. I mean, it's certain things. So it was easy for me to identify and know this is what you guys need to change. This is what you guys need to address. And for me, getting the right players in, right, being able to embrace the culture, embrace the standard. No one's exempt, regardless of how high the standard is. Everybody got to be on that page, right? And for me, I just kind of, it was like I just gave them the rules, and this is my expectations. And to a man, everybody has to be held to that standard. And like as a lately, you see them embracing it. Early on, it was difficult. Discipline was a big factor. Our penalties was a big factor. Unsportsmanlike conduct. Like we were shooting ourselves in the foot. Like if you go back and watch our games, as a lady, you've seen these guys are cleaned up, and it's still a challenge, man. Every day it's still a challenge for some of these boys, man, because they knuckleheads. They like me.
Do you want to make this a yearly event? Have this game here at Lincoln Financial Field every year?
I mean, hopefully, I feel like, and even talking to Mike Vick, with my initiating me kind of started, I feel like some way, somehow, I should always kind of be front runner. But even though we switch, because he'll probably be the home team, but and I'm not even big on getting the credit, because at the end of the day, God, he'll always award people when they do well. And for me, I definitely do hope we continue to come back here and play in a great environment like this, man. It could have never. It was crazy, man, because leading up to it, I'm like, it's about to rain. People ain't gonna want to come sit in the rain. And God bless this, man. It was a good game, man.
Coach, throughout your football career, I know you coached, you've played a ton, you've had amazing moments. Where does this rank in terms of those moments, in terms of those games and bright lights for you?
Yeah, it's pretty up there. To be able to coach, I just think my culture, man, and my energy is really, kind of rubbing off on these young men. Man, all these dudes seen me play. When they found out I was going to be a coach here, a lot of these guys was going to get in the portal. Some came back, some ended up leaving. But, man, just the impact that you see in these guys' eyes when they're embracing the coaching and the standard is just like, for me, it feels like all the information I got over all those years, like I would be selfish not to pour it back into these young men and help change their life. So, for me, it's fulfilling. I still want y'all to understand it is a challenge. Like, no one's perfect, right? You gotta, some of these young men obviously could be at a bigger university or bigger places, but it's challenging because their mental or they're coming from places where they don't have the support, financially. There's just a lot of variables to play a part in. For me, I just want to uplift. I'm always about uplifting and just passing down knowledge to them.
Aside from winning and being carried in the air celebrating, was there a moment today where you realized, yeah, this is the reason why I came to an HBCU to coach?
I really just really seeing the impact that you have over the community. As a culture shock, we talk about a culture change, like it's implementing a lot of young men's lives. Like one of my players before the game, Marquise Gillis, told me, he was like, Coach, man, it's bigger than everybody involved. Like he said, man, this is like my kids. Like it's gonna go down, man. This is the first time in history 2 players of the magnitude of me and Michael Vick, who are former teammates that play at this, for this organization, have played versus each other in their first year coaching. So, man, history writes itself. I told my players, man, write history how you want to be written. Tonight, we wrote history.
Slide first. When we talk about, a lot of people really don't know what slide first means. Miami of Washington, man, Marquise Gillis, James Jones, Claire Portis, just talk about number 2, the rushing. Let's talk about the offense and how they were able to put the pieces together week in, week out.
I think the slide first is the mentality. A lot of these offenses have names, the West Coast offense, all these terminologies you have, right? Slide first, just like with a fast pace, we attack the ball, we get the defense off guard. It's like multiple variables in one play, like it's pass, run, option, quarterback current. Like it's just a lot of different plays that you usually normally don't have. And it's a lot because your quarterback got to make a read for certain players in the box or he's not in the box. Like he has to adjust and make that adjust on the go. So, you got to have an intelligent quarterback to do that. And the freedom we're allowing our players to have is second to none. So it's just the trust we have in our players.
What's the trash talk gonna be like now that you got the victory over Vic?
Oh man, I got a post ready to go, man. Where my Instagram at? It's coming out. I got it ain't even really big. It's his brother, man. Marcus posted something a long time ago. Said he was gonna beat us by 70. I couldn't wait. I was been holding this. I ain't no reactor, but I gotta react to this one.
Last question for Coach.
Mike said that a lot of this thing for him, he spent his whole career being able to do something. He can do it. As a coach, you've got it now. You just.
Yeah, it's definitely challenging. It's definitely challenging. It's tough. I get riled up before these games, and it's crazy 'cause I didn't even think coaching. I'm like, all right, it's just gonna be another day. Man, the day of the game, I'll be antsy. I'll be like jittery, like I'm finna go play a game, and I'm like, man, I look up like, man, I can't even go impact the game. But I mean, from a mental aspect, you can. You just can't do it from a physical aspect. And I tell my players all the time, I said, boy, y'all lucky I wasn't on the field with y'all, man, because I would have, boy, HBCU would have had a problem if I went to HBCU. And there's no disrespect to the game because I respect it at a high level, but I just be looking at something, I'm like, man, boy, y'all couldn't hold my jock strap. Appreciate y'all coming out though, man. Thank you. Hey, can I